Hello and welcome. I am Thomas Porteous and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. The United States and European Union have reached a trade deal framework ending a months-long standoff. The agreement includes a 15% US tariff on EU goods, half of the threatened 30%, with zero tariff access for certain US exports to Europe. Thailand and Cambodia's leaders will meet today for peace talks, but strikes continue along their border. The Thai acting Prime Minister accused Cambodia of not acting in good faith before the negotiations start. The United Nations aid chief calls for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and not just a pause, as restrictions ease and over 100 truckloads of aid are collected. Trump says Israel will have to make a decision on the situation, while the WHO warns malnutrition has reached alarming levels in the Gaza Strip. Top US and Chinese economic officials will resume talks in Stockholm today to address long-standing economic disputes at the heart of the trade war. The talks aim to extend the truce by 3 months and prevent sharply higher tariffs. A Russian airstrike on Kiev has wounded 8 people, including a 3-year-old child, after midnight on Monday. 4 of the injured have been hospitalized, with 1 in serious condition, according to Kiev authorities. US President Donald Trump will host British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his Scottish golf resort for talks including their recent trade deal and the Gaza hunger crisis. Trump said he expects Starmer will be pleased with the EU trade agreement announced earlier. Police in Ecuador reported that at least 14 civilians have been killed in 2 attacks in a coastal area where drug trafficking gangs are fighting for control. The attackers fired at a group near the initial site, killing 2 more people. North Korea has no interest in South Korea's reconciliation proposals, according to Kim Jong-un's sister. She said that President Lee Jae-myung's commitment to the South Korea-US security alliance makes him no different from his hostile predecessor. Now, our top story today. French Minister for Europe, Benjamin Haddad, has labelled the newly clinched trade deal by the United States and the European Union as unbalanced, despite acknowledging that it will provide temporary stability in transatlantic trade relations. This comes after the US and EU reached a new major trade agreement with key impacts on autos, energy and agriculture. President Trump confirmed a 15% tariff will hit EU exports, and the EU will invest $600 billion in the United States and buy $750 billion worth of energy. Moreover, the EU will also purchase US military equipment. This came as the clock ticked down on a August the 1st deadline to avoid the cross-the-board US levy of 30% on European goods. We're now joined by our guest to discuss this further, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, who's a former Indian ambassador. He joins us live from New Delhi to discuss this further. Ambassador Sachdev, looking at this trade deal, what do you believe? Do you believe this is a one-sided effort towards Washington, or do you believe this is now truly fair?
I think this shows the 2 sides having reached a last-minute deal, which is slightly tilted in favor of United States, which gets investment, which gets commitment for trade, buying American equipment, which continues with the tariffs on steel and aluminum from Europe, and which again leaves it open to United States to change it as and when they wish in terms of their various actions, proclivities, and special commodities, etc. I think it'll hurt Europe a bit because the zero on zero duty structure proposed on aircraft, for example, would enable Boeing to compete with Airbus on the home ground, which would have been a preserve. If it was 15%, then Boeing would have had to pay uh, more duties. Its aircraft would be uh, would be more expensive by that amount. But that base level 15% levy is not going to be charged on aircraft, on its parts, chemicals, semiconductors, etc., etc., in which United States has a positive trade balance.
Mm.
Natural energy products and the critical materials, etc. Again, US is the dominant partner of EU. Military equipment wise, their dependence on the US is under this treaty would continue to some extent. So no wonder French, which produce Airbus, which have major defense industry, uh, are unhappy. Their unhappiness would also be enhanced by uh, spirits not being yet included in this deal. So French wines, for example,
Mm.
would continue to wait for proper tariffication, which will create uncertainty, and uncertainty is the best killer of trade. People don't import goods when they don't know by the time it hits the ports what would the duty be. So
Um,
they they would be that handicap. So all
Ambassador,
told,
Ambassador
yeah.
Sachdev, apologies for interrupting you, but I am conscious of time here. Just wanted to say many people see Donald Trump's tariff tactics as transactional rather than strategic. Given the deals that he's already got done, the ones in the past include the UK, Vietnam, Philippines, etc. Do you think that Donald Trump is proving people right in his tariff tactics here?
I think you can judge for yourself. These tariff structures, the deal, the investment commitments, etc., are to be made during the second term of Trump. So for next 3.5 years, for example, they would be Europeans would be bound by this deal, and
Mm.
therefore Trump administration would be able to reap its benefit. So it's partly transactional, partly strategic. In case Mr. Trump decides or gets agreement to fight for the third term, this would be a strategic asset for him to bandy around. So that is where uh, I would like to reply to your question.
Yes, Ambassador Sachdev, thank you very much for joining us on the programme and for your insight. We now move over to Europe, where Russia launched a massive drone and missile strike on Kyiv late on July the 27th. Explosions were heard across the capital as air defences responded. Kyiv's mayor urged residents to stay in shelters. Officials say at least 5 people were injured and a residential building was damaged. An air alert was issued across most of Ukraine. Poland also scrambled jets to secure its airspace. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the frigate Admiral Gorgorovich in Kronstadt on Navy Day. He met with the crew and thanked them for repelling Ukrainian drone attacks near St. Petersburg. Putin also visited the St. Nicholas Naval Cathedral, lit candles and praised Russia's military for its service. In another development, Hungary's foreign minister says European and Ukrainian leaders are blocking Trump's efforts for peace in Ukraine, calling for a US-Russia deal to ensure lasting security in Europe. We're now joined by Shruti Dasgupta, who's an international affairs expert. She joins us live from New Delhi. Shruti, thank you very much for joining us once again. Shruti, the Ukrainian capital was once again struck by Russian air attacks. What does the timing of this assault tell us, especially as Putin made a Navy Day appearance soon after?
Greetings, Thomas. I feel that it is going to be, it's a retaliatory attack. They attacked Moscow, and Moscow responded. And if you poke the bear bites. That's as the saying goes. So they do tend to mess with Putin's homeland, and Putin has responded in the likes of it. From what I understand, up from the latest maps that I've been reading up on, Russia has taken on all the territories near the Sea of Azov, and Crimea already belonged to it. So it's slowly pushing towards the main inland of Ukraine. And bombing in Kyiv is, of course, not unique. It has happened before, and it will continue to ensure that the Zelensky government is under pressure to accept the terms that Putin has put forth. And the Western powers will also realize that if they do not bring peace to Europe soon, Russia might very soon take away a large part of Ukraine, more than what they want to bargain with. So it's a pressure tactic as well as a retaliatory response.
Yes, Shruti. And what about this other development? Hungary's foreign minister saying that European and Ukrainian leaders are stopping Trump's efforts for peace in Ukraine. Do you agree with these statements?
I don't understand how Trump can claim to ask for peace on one hand and then send a lot of military aid to Ukraine. If you're sending military aid, then you're supporting the war, and you are not on the peace talks table. Of course, he wants peace in Ukraine and Russia. That was one of his key campaign mandates, that he would ensure that peace comes to Europe. It'll be over in a day. Of course, it's been months now, and it hasn't happened because the situation in Europe is not normal. The Pentagon arms lobby is not willing to let the war in Ukraine die down because it's a money-making enterprise. And US on its own has, under Trump, been able to sign off on a deal of minerals, critical minerals, and arable land in Ukraine. So basically, US is trying to take a large chunk of the pie from Ukraine for its support of the war, while on the other hand, Trump is talking about peace. So it's not Zelensky who's blocking peace alone. The arms lobby is fully in support of the war because it makes money for them.
Yes, Shruti Dasgupta, thank you very much for joining us on the programme. We now move east, where the first direct flight from Moscow to Pyongyang has successfully landed in North Korean capital this morning. The Boeing 777-200ER, operated by Nordwind Airlines, touched down, marking the resumption of direct air travel between the two capitals after decades. A Russian delegation led by Minister Alexander Kozlov was warmly greeted with flowers upon arrival. The flight, which lasted around 8 hours, departs from Sheremetyevo Airport, Moscow, and is rescheduled to return on July the 29th. This marks the beginning of regular direct flights between Moscow and Pyongyang. A Nordwind representative called it a major milestone in bilateral relations. Let's listen in.
Историческое событие, это, да, и между укрепление связи между народами, что не только с Дальнего Востока, из Москвы на поезде, там 8 дней можно ехать туда, но вот сейчас 8 часов лету, и вы в Пхеньяне. Ну, давайте начнем сотрудничество не только сейчас, оно было и в 56-м году, и в 50-х годах, согласитесь. И тогда мы сотрудничали нормально с Северной Кореей, то есть с корейским народом, там, не вопрос. Нам брать исторические данные-то. Не только сейчас. Сейчас это укрепляется.
The new flights aim to strengthen ties between Russia and North Korea. These direct flights are expected to operate twice a week, although for now services will run once a month to assess demand. We're now joined by Dr. Sanjay Kumar, who's a journalist for the Korea Herald. He joins us live from Seoul in South Korea. Dr. Sanjay Kumar, thank you very much for joining us on the programme. How significant, Dr. Kumar, is these flights between the two capitals of Pyongyang and Moscow? And does this signal a deeper military or economic alignment?
Yes, it does shows the deeper military alignment as well as the activation of people-to-people contacts on ground. What we were seeing a few days back and few weeks back, we should say, that there was direct military involvement of soldiers from North Korea, but now we can see the direct flights also. That means like civilian cooperation also in progress. So this is deepening, and it may concern many of the countries in the region, including South Korea and Japan.
Dr. Kumar, should we view this as a reaction to Western isolation, perhaps, or a calculated step in Moscow and Pyongyang's broader strategic convergence?
I see it as a very calculated move from the north side as well as the Russian side. They want to focus on their bilateral agenda more than to counter West or I think or the Russia-Ukraine war things. I think they want to focus more on bilateral cooperation, and they are going to see it as a good momentum, which may help them in long run.
Yes, Dr. Kumar, do stay with us as we discuss further updates from the Indo-Pacific. North Korea has firmly rejected South Korean President Lee Jae-myung's peace overtures, saying it has no interest in any proposals for reconciliation. The response, issued by Kim Yo-jong, sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, marks the North's first official reaction to Lee's unification efforts since he took office on June the 4th. This comes after Lee, who took office on June the 4th after winning a snap election, has vowed to improve ties with Pyongyang, which had reached the worst level in years. Kim Yo-jong, a senior ruling party official, criticized Lee's continued alignment with the US-South Korea security alliance, claiming it shows he is no different from his conservative predecessor. She warned that expecting reconciliation through sentimental words is a serious miscalculation. South Korea's unification ministry acknowledged that North Korea's reaction points to challenges in inter-Korea ties. Here's what the South Korean unification ministry had to say.
이번 담화는 북한 당국이 이재명 정부의 대북 정책 방향을 예의주시하고 있다는 것을 보여준 것으로 평가합니다. 지난 몇 년간의 적대 대결 정책으로 인해 남북 간 불신의 벽이 매우 높다는 것을 확인하였습니다. 정부는 북한의 반응에 일희일비하지 않고 화해와 협력의 남북 관계를 만들고 한반도 평화 공존을 실현하기 위한 노력을 차분히 일관되게 추진해 나갈 것입니다.
We're once again joined by Dr. Kumar to discuss this further. Dr. Kumar, is there an appetite for reconciliation in South Korea?
From South Korea, the newly elected President Lee has this appetite of reconciliation. But if you ask the common people here, they do not seem to be very interested to go deeper into this unification agenda. Either it's the younger generation or the older generation. But the people here, they do want a peaceful Korea. I mean, peaceful Korean peninsula, but not particularly unified Korea. That means one Korea. Of course, several initiatives had been started, failed also, and now also what we are seeing, it is very decades-long narrative of the North Korean side that, oh, we are not interested in talking to South Korea. Actually, they consider United States to be on the table to engage in any dialogues. And in current situations, as they are going to have a very friendly and we should say um, commonly agreed points with Russia in place. So they don't want to give any leverage to any third party, and they want to focus on their own stuffs. And as many in the West as well as the East also agree that North Korea wants to retain the regime, and they don't want any any kind of interference in their current regime. So it is a matter of beyond understanding why South Korea or any other party would be getting attention from North. So
Yes.
this is the situation right now.
Yes, Dr. Kumar, thank you very much. You are staying with us as we discuss more updates. However, now we move over to South America, where at least 14 civilians have been killed in 2 separate attacks in coastal Ecuador. The police has confirmed the deaths in the attack. The incidents happened on Sunday in the town of El Empalme, an area plagued by gang violence. Police say 12 people were shot dead in the first attack, with 3 others wounded. Shortly after, gunmen opened fire on a second group nearby, killing 2 more. Authorities believe drug trafficking gangs are behind the violence. The region has seen a rise in deadly clashes as rival gangs fight for control. As investigations are underway, the security forces remain on high alert. Let's listen in to what the police chief of El Palm had to say.
Varios ciudadanos al bordo de 2 camionetas de color oscuro, lo que manifiesta la ciudadanía, proceden a bajarse en este sector y proceden a atacar con armas de fuego. Tenemos con pistolas y fusiles, donde
Now we turn to Europe, where a train derailed in southwestern Germany, killing 3 and seriously injuring several others. The incident occurred between Reidlingen and Muckerkingen, with 2 carriages coming off the tracks during a route from Sigmaringen to ULM, with about 100 people on board. Emergency crews responded and an investigation into the cause is underway. We're now once again joined by Dr. Kumar to discuss this. Dr. Kumar, what more can you tell us about this tragedy that has happened in Germany just a few hours ago?
First of all, it's a big tragedy, and 3 persons have lost their life according to the official reports. So we should pay our condolences to them, to those people who died and their families. But this has been also in the public in Germany, that being part of a very huge and very vast transportational network in entire Europe, German technology and especially Deutsche Bahn had been offering service since a couple of decades, and they had been doing it nicely. But there are concerns as well among the people that this infrastructure is a little old and it should be changed and transformed. To this, German government already has been pledging to invest hundreds of billions of euros to update the modern infrastructure and restore the trust of the people, trust of the travelers in the entire Europe. But this is alarming because in June 2022, I guess, that time also there was a derail accident in Germany with the same Deutsche Bahn network, and it killed 4 persons that time also. And that was also after a very long duration of 1998, when there was another accident. This is not very common in Europe, but of course, when these incidents happen, it is really unfortunate. But I'm sure the German government and the German technology stakeholders, they have been always applauded by the entire humanity and the countries across the globe for their innovative technology and the most upgraded technology, and I'm sure that seriously they are going to look after it and not repeat this kind of accident.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, for joining us here on NewsX World this hour. We now move back over to the Indo-Pacific, where heavy rain is battering northern China, triggering deadly landslides and floods. 4 people have died in Hebei province and 8 remain missing. Over 4,400 residents have been relocated as flash floods hit Beijing's Mian district. Roads, crops and homes are now submerged. Power outages affect more than 10,000 people, and Beijing has issued its highest flood alert. Emergency crews are searching for missing persons, including a driver lost in the floodwaters. China's government has allocated $6.9 million for disaster recovery. More heavy rain is forecast for the next 3 days, with officials warning of growing risks amid widespread damage across northern provinces. We're now joined by Desmond Majek-Kodunimi, who's an environmentalist. He joins us live from Lagos. Thank you very much, Desmond, for joining us on the program. Can you explain what's going on here? Northern China is prone to rains. However, why this year has there been such a problem? And also, what kind of damage will the region be expecting?
Yes, it's a pleasure to be with you. Here we go again and again and again and again. We have been warned about this decades ago, and it's the simplest of sciences. When you add heat to water, you get more evaporation, and guess what? Our planet Earth is covered by around 70% of water body. And oh, guess what again? The average temperature of our incredible planet has been increasing steadily ever since the Industrial Revolution poured millions and millions of tons over the last few decades of heat-trapping gases into the atmosphere. So you're going to have a whole lot more water vapor in the atmosphere. And guess what? That water vapor is going to fall as rain. And it's not classified as rainstorm anymore in a lot of areas. There's a new classification. It's called a rain bomb. And unfortunately for the poor people in this location in China, they have experienced the rain bomb. Oh yeah, what I'm talking about is what amount of rain that would fall during a period of 1 year. It fell in just a few hours in this location. And obviously it's totally overwhelmed any of the flood relief systems that are there. And as if this isn't bad enough, because of the massive deforestation and the inundation of silt in the streams and rivers, there's been a whole lot of mudslides, and those streams and rivers don't even have the capacity to remove the rain that would normally fall anyway. So we're damaging ourselves, and this is happening back to us, because one thing about nature is she gives you back what you give her. And unfortunately, we're disrupting some incredible systems of nature that has made this particular planet the only inhabitable one that we've been able to observe so far out of the millions that we have been able to observe. And we're wrecking the systems. So it's like nature sort of telling humanity, hey, look, stop what you're doing, because if you continue much longer, you're going to cause terrible catastrophes. But our hearts go out to people in China, and we hope and we pray that they shall take the necessary action to at least start to ameliorate this, to adapt to it, and also to mitigate.
Yes, Desmond Majek-Kodunimi, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Well, that's all we have time for, and we will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world. Thank you for joining us.